Take a closer look at this satellite image. At first glance, it seems like there is nothing here but a desolate dry desert. But right in the middle, a strange structure is visible. If you zoom in and look closely, it is clear that it looks exactly like an aircraft carrier. Those huge aircraft carriers that the military uses as floating airfields. Starting from the runway, fighter jets and weapons. But the surprising thing is that it is not on the ocean, but on the sand in the middle of the desert. Now let's zoom out a little and see its surroundings. The photo was taken from the Taklamakan Desert in northwest China. Normal aircraft carriers operate in the turbulent waters of the ocean. But the environment of this desert is also very cruel. Instead of water, there is only sand. Yet it is as extreme as the ocean in terms of temperature and adversity. Taklamakan is the second largest sandy desert in the world in terms of size. When viewed from a satellite, it looks like a huge eye of sand. And it looks like an unknown part of the world we know. Why is the Chinese military building something as mysterious as an aircraft carrier in the middle of this desert? The question naturally arises. Although China has been advancing its aircraft carrier program at a rapid pace in the past few decades. Even 15 years ago, they did not have a single aircraft carrier. Now they have 3 carriers in their fleet. And they built one of them themselves. But the design of the ship that is seen in the desert in the satellite image does not match China's own carriers. Rather, the structure is exactly like the design of an American carrier. For example, think about the size of the U.S. Navy's most modern Gerald R. Ford-class carrier. It also has a surprising similarity to this fake ship in the desert. Looking a little further from that place, you can see a straight line running through the desert. If you look closely, you can see that it is actually a railway line. Just on the other side of this truck, you can see another large structure. It does not look like an aircraft carrier. Rather, it is modeled after the famous Arlington-class destroyer of the United States. This desert structure has been designed to replicate the exact design of that destroyer. From the bridge funnel to the missile launcher, all the important parts have been positioned in the same way. It seems clear that these structures are not actually ships. Rather, they are flat mock-ups or replicas built on the ground. Surprisingly, old satellite images show that the shape of the ship was first depicted in 2020 by arranging cubes and long poles. Later, the outline of the entire ship was drawn more clearly. Here is another thing that is quite strange. The railway line that passed through the middle of those fake ships is very curved and has an unusual shape. There are no natural obstacles on the flat ground all around. Still, the truck did not go straight, as if it had gone astray. It took a twist in the middle and suddenly turned right. So why was the railway line curved like this? The whole story becomes more mysterious if we follow that railway line. Going north, the truck stops near a base where a large hangar, some buildings, and a few trucks can be seen. After going a little further south, the railway line suddenly disappears into the last desert and suddenly disappears into thin air. It is still unclear why such a strange truck was built. Just think about it. Where are the real warships of these replicas of U.S. warships built in the desert? It is surprising, but it is true that U.S. carriers and warships often roam near this desert. The U.S. fleet regularly patrols the South China Sea. Chinese warships are also there. Once, a Chinese destroyer came so close to a U.S. ship that a collision almost occurred. These incidents show that tensions between the U.S. and China have been increasing around China for a long time. There are 2 issues at the root of this tension. The South China Sea and Taiwan. China claims almost the entire South China Sea as its own, and China has already built artificial islands and a military base there. In opposition to this, The U.S. regularly sends warships and conducts patrols there. The second dispute is over Taiwan. Although the island is run by a separate government, China has always considered it a separate province of its own and has threatened to seize it by force if necessary. The United States has made it clear that the number of Chinese attacks on Taiwan is very real and has also stated that they will not accept such coercion in any way. Therefore, the U.S. Navy is on alert in the Taiwan Strait. And these two disputes could take the form of a major conflict in the future. Therefore, China is preparing by turning the desert into a kind of training ground. The structures built in the desert are actually practice targets. How accurately China's missiles can actually hit American warships is a matter of mutual agreement. Many believe that the long metal poles attached to these structures are equipped with sensors or radar reflectors, so that missile strike data can be collected and radar-based targeting training can be done. Other satellite images have also shown that Chinese missiles are able to hit these targets accurately. But the real warship will not stop. Model ships have been placed along the railway line to simulate hitting a moving target. Along this truck is another aircraft carrier model, a more advanced three-dimensional structure than the previous one, on which numerous poles are attached. A scale model of this system was also shown at a Chinese defense exhibition, and it is known that the Chinese company CASIC has developed this moving mock-up system. The purpose of such a curved design of the railway line is to imitate the movement of an aircraft carrier ship that would suddenly change direction or change speed quickly to avoid attack. Satellite images also indicate that China has also successfully tested hitting the target. Using fake targets as a training exercise is not a new tactic. For example, in 2014, Iran built a replica of a U.S. aircraft carrier and sank it with missiles. Although the purpose of that training exercise was more propaganda than real training, training with fake targets is not unusual in the military world. The United States uses fake weapons of the enemy in its own training exercises. For example, a replica of the Chinese J-20 fighter jet or the Russian Su-27 fighter jet has been flown in training. But the concern is that China is not testing any ordinary weapons here. They want to demonstrate a system that can change the tactics of those potential wars. According to U.S. observers, China has a special ballistic missile called the Dongfeng 21D, which is specially designed to destroy moving aircraft carriers. This missile is first launched high in the atmosphere and descends at high speed. While falling, its warhead part